on the U.S. side?
I think it depends on what the full impact is of these retaliatory strikes by Iran and whether is it over now. They fired apparently around 10 missiles at our base in Doha. They fired at least one missile at the Assad base in Iraq. Or is this just the beginning? Are there going to be more attacks overnight? Are there going to be other targets outside of Qatar and Iraq? And so I think the U.S. administration is likely in a wait and see mode, but likely preparing the next attack if it is warranted by Iranian actions.
And David, I want to talk about the response or potential response from other countries in all of this. I mean, should there be concern about Iran's relationship with Russia? We know that Russia's president was meeting with Iranian leaders. Should we be concerned?
Well, I think this is interesting because Iran and Russia are very closely allied, and we know Russia has actually been depending on Iran somewhat for its war in Ukraine. It's been getting drones from Iran and other military supplies from Iran. So Russia made a very strong statement against these attacks by the U.S. It was pretty ironic because Russia condemned the U.S. for violating Iran's sovereignty when, of course, Russia is engaged in a massive violation of Ukraine's sovereignty. So this probably pushes Russia and Iran closer together and may actually push the U.S. closer to Ukraine.
What about our European allies? Where do they stand in all of this? How could they potentially influence any of this?
Well, right before the U.S. strikes, we know the European allies were trying also to mediate a nuclear deal with Iran without success. Apparently, the Iranians were not willing to make any concessions to the Europeans. My guess is that the Europeans are perhaps not happy with the timing of this attack, but the Europeans are also similarly concerned, as is the Trump administration, by the fact that Iran is so close to having nuclear weapons, and there are likely many in Europe who are very happy that at least this will set back Iran's ability to go take that final step to nuclearizing and weaponizing the nuclear enrichment.
And David, before these strikes, these retaliatory strikes by Iran, the State Department had issued a warning of worldwide caution. So now we are seeing these strikes apparently targeting multiple U.S. bases. How dangerous is it right now for Americans living and traveling abroad? How dangerous is it for our troops stationed, in the Middle East specifically?
Well, I would say it's about as dangerous as it has ever been in the last few years. Certainly, the State Department recognized that there was a threat here. Any U.S. embassy anywhere in the world is a potential target by Iranian-supported terrorists. Notably, the U.S. was already evacuating and downsizing the U.S. embassy in Baghdad, expecting that Iran might use our presence in Iraq as a target because Iran has so much influence and presence inside Iraq. But other U.S. embassies in the Middle East and around the world are also targets. And unfortunately, yes, Americans who are not in the U.S. government but who are on vacation around the world could also be targets. But if Iran took that step and it was clear that Iran had supported a terrorist attack against American civilians, I think they would have to expect that the retaliation by the U.S. would be very substantial and significant.
And David, we know that not only allies of the U.S., but also allies of Iran have all been urging a return of some sort to the negotiating table, trying to find peace in all of this. Is there a path to peace? What could that look like, especially in light of these latest actions?
Well, in a lot of ways, the U.S. bombing of the Iranian nuclear facilities may make it easier for there to be peace because now we've set back the nuclear program. We don't know yet how much we have set it back, but we demonstrated to Iran we are willing to use military strikes in order to ensure that Iran never has a nuclear weapon. Remember, every U.S. president recently has said that military strikes are on the table if Iran does not do a deal. Now President Trump has actually demonstrated that very clearly, that that's true, that wasn't just a threat, an empty threat. It's a real threat for Iran. And so I would think that Iran, if the regime wants to stay in place,